Good afternoon, good afternoon. Gee, 3 o'clock came around really quickly. By the time I went and got some lunch and did a few other things and tried to find a few things that I wanted for this live. Let's see if we're working. So hello, it's Melinda from Scrapbooking and Say hello, pop a comment in if you are watching. Just let's see. Yep, it's working on my phone. Awesome, awesome. It's a bit cold here. I won't tell you why it's cold in my house. You'll all think I'm silly. I don't know. Gee, I've got a mess to clean up before tomorrow. So welcome to our celebration weekend for our new website that I launched in July this year. Words are escaping me today. So this is our second live. Hello Tabitha, how you going? Gee, 3 o'clock come around really quick. I thought I'd had plenty of time between the last live and this one, and I'm scrounging around trying to do stuff, which is nothing unusual. So welcome. So we've got 15% off all our new for July items until Monday night. And thank you for everyone that's placed orders already. You are going to keep me busy tonight. Or should I wait till Alexis gets home and make her help me pick orders? Maybe I'll do that. So this afternoon we're going to do another art journal page, and I'm going to play with this cathedral-y window this time. So I thought this would be fun. I've got all my supplies from my last page all over my desk, so we're going to use most of those. I've added some greenish paints. I was going to pick a napkin or two to use as well. Oh, you haven't moved, Tabitha. Yeah, it's too cold today. Well, before a lot of people come on, I'll tell you why my house is absolutely freezing. I was cooking lunch and decided to set my fire alarms off again. I've had trouble with fire alarms just going off randomly in my house, so I put some new ones in the other day, and they're blooming sensitive. Like, there was seriously, ooh, that would be cool, might use the Kingfisher. Seriously, absolutely no smoke around. I couldn't see anything. So the first one goes off, which is near the kitchen, then the second one goes off. I'm over fire alarms. So I've got to end up getting a box lid and trying to get the air away from it and the smoke away from the alarm, and it was funny. So now my house is freezing because I've had the door open half the afternoon to get to make sure it. Actually, I might use those two and not that one. Sorry, should have been more organised. It's my little stack of napkins I pinched from Alexis's stash that she sells. So I've got to keep 2 of each napkin so Alexis and I can have some. Been there. I often have to turn my bathroom fan on and cook steak. I don't know, I burnt bacon again. Oh, I need a new frying pan. I think that's the problem. Okay, so let's take this out of the packet. As with the first one this morning, I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to do the page, but that's about every art journal page I start, so that's nothing new. I know I want to use this. It's actually in the package back to front, which was nice. And I may use some of the bird napkins, and I may use some of this. So let's start by adding some background to our page, and then we will see how we go. So I'm going to use some, I did grab it. Oh God, I've got stuff everywhere. I'll have to clean up before tomorrow. There'll be no room to put anything else. I've got some book text I'm going to pull out in a minute. Sorry, just double checking it is actually working on my phone. Okay, so let's pull out some book text. So I haven't gessoed or anything my page yet. I think we're just going to go with the cream colour. And let's just pull out a couple of sheets of paper, mainly. Yeah, I know, I'm tearing up a book. Oh no, that's right, I read this one. I like Patricia Cornwell. Oh, excuse me. Got the hiccups. Okay. So we're going to start off with some background layers. This time I think I'm going to use the napkins more as a topish layer. Topish layer? Yep, words are not going to work today. More of a focal point top layer. We'll see how that works, because they do fade into the background, but what's the worst we can do is stuff it up. That's the idea anyway. So let's get some book paper down. So I'm going to do this sort of about maybe... When I'm doing a double page, I like, if I've got a focal image, to put it a bit on each page, so not just stick it over here. I very rarely do single pages. I don't know, I just like doing double pages. So if this sort of goes about here, or we do it over here, we'll do it this way this time. So we'll probably have... That'd be right, my birds are facing the wrong direction. I have some birds up here and go over here. And then, so I want to sort of, let's do a strip across the middle this time. Let's do something different. I'm just trying to envisage where my background will be. The live I did earlier this morning that you can watch on replay, I sort of did a backwards 7. So I went across here and up here. Sorry, backwards L, backwards 7. This time I'm sort of just going to do a strip across the middle. And then this is going to be here, and the birds are going to be up here, and then we'll see how that goes. What's the worst could happen? I could stuff it up live on Facebook. This is sometimes why I like filming videos, because if I stuff it up, you never see it. Just wanting to put some... Sort of wanting to do a strip, but not a an equal strip. Don't want it even, if that makes sense. So I want sort of a bit of flow to it. So again, we're going to stick our book paper down with our matte gel medium. Matte medium. When you hear gel medium, it's thicker. This one's matte medium, so it's quite runny. So that's going to go to the side of the book. That's going to end in disaster. I just got it all down the side of the book. I should have, and I didn't get ready, my baking paper to put under my pages so I don't goop things up on the next page. It's just me, but I do like my words to be up the right way. Sometimes I use them vertically, sort of like I'll use them this way as a design element, but if I'm using words, I like them to be up the right way. I don't know, I'm just funny like that. Hi Meryl, how you going? Yeah, back again. I thought if I'm going to make a mess, I may as well do lots of lives in the weekend and make a total mess. And I don't have my daughter this weekend, so I don't have any interruptions or any mummy duties. So that's always handy. I still got housework and stuff to do, but can't stick it on straight. Who wants to do housework? I can't do any more washing because my line's full, and I can't bring my washing in because it rained this morning. I don't think it'd be dry yet. So there's some housework I can't do. Oh, looks like I'm nearly out of matte medium again. Oh, something else to add to the list when I come up to Swan Hill to visit Jen from Hillbilly Scrapping. I usually have a huge list of stuff I've got to buy when I go up there. Oh, this paper is sliding around and doesn't want to be stuck down. Seriously. Just making sure I get it nice and worked into the spine. I seem to be always running out of something. That gives me an excuse to place an order anyway if I run out of something, and then I usually pick up whatever else I want as well. I've got too much out now. I must look funny as people drive past. I've got my window open for some extra light. I must look funny standing here. Glad they can't hear me because it looks like I'm standing here talking to myself. Hi Elizabeth, how you going? Just putting the excess back in my bottle because I put a bit too much out. Let me just wipe the top of that. Otherwise I'm going to stick the lid on and then I won't be able to get the lid off. I managed to get all the gold off my hands from the other project this morning, and now I'm going to have gunk all over them again. Okay, those napkins are going to go on more of a top layer, so I want to lay some colour down first. So I'm going to give this a quick bit of a dry, and I think we're going to grab our stencils out and do some stenciling in the background. Oh, it's still wet up there. Actually, I grabbed some more washi tape. Let's throw some more of this in the background just because we can. Oh, now my hands are all sticky. Hang on. Find my buried baby wipes. That matte medium is very sticky. Hi Myra, how you going? So if you've just joined us, I'm using this piece from my range in the layout this afternoon, so it's going to go about here-ish. Then I picked out a couple of Alexis napkins. The Kingfisher birds are really cool, and this foliage. So this time, if you're watching this morning, I put the napkins into the background, so I'd put them down like on the next layer. But this time I'm going to use them as more of a top focal foreground image. So let's put some washi tape down first, just to add a bit more interest in the background. As I said this morning, I'm on a mission to use up my washi tape, just because I've had it for quite a while, and I've got quite a lot of it. Glad Alexis is not here to tell tales on me. So because it's a low tack tape, I do want to put some of the adhesive underneath it. It's just going to be really subtle. Sometimes it's stubborn and it doesn't want to stick down. And unfortunately, washi tape is a product. There's certain products in your stash that have shelf lives, like paper and stencils and stuff like that sort of will last for infinity. But things like washi tape or anything with adhesive, or even like matte gel mediums and any of your mediums, anything liquidy or sticky, tends to have a bit of a shelf life. So it's good to rotate through them and get them used up. And it's amazing if you go through your stash what you can find from the old crafting days you can use in your art journal, because you can use just about anything. Paper crafty. Let's go one more of this one down here. So I'm just spreading the matte gel medium with my finger because I like using my fingers. I'll tend to finger paint, I'll tend to glue with my fingers. I don't know, it's just something I like doing. I think I like touching the touching my book and touching the glue with my fingers. I don't know. If you ever craft with Alexis, she hates doing things with her finger. She'll do anything to not do it. To touch glue and paint with her fingers. She's the exact opposite of me. Trying to find my end. Does this one have an end? Come on, you have to have an end, washi tape. Ah, there we go. Obviously this is a new one that I haven't used before because I haven't got the end up. Let's go over here. So just starting to build up these clusters so they're not, I need some more matte medium. So there's not things floating, and I'll join more of them when I do some more stenciling in a minute. So just trying to put some interest in the background. Oh, I lost the end of it again. Seriously. Oh, I don't like this washi tape because when you rip it off, it's the same pattern underneath, and it's really hard to find the end. Let's not do that again. Thrilling watching me wrestle with my washi tape, isn't it? This is why I want to use some of it up, because it will lose its stick, and I don't like wasting things. Stick down your end bit of washi tape, and we'll put some up here. And then we'll do some stenciling. We'll pick out some of my new stencils again and Actually, I want a bit down here, and then I want a bit up there. I like to put them in odd numbers. Odd numbers seem to work a bit better than even numbers of things. Let's go up here. Now let's wipe up that gel medium before I stick my hand or anything in it. Love working on my glass mat. There goes my white paint pen that I found. Okay, we'll give that a little bit of a dry. So I again want to use a bit of gesso just to knock a bit of that colour off. Just to knock it. Or do I? Yeah, I do. And I want a fairly wet brush so it's fairly light. And I might even take my baby wipe and just wipe it back a bit. Because I like the cream sort of colour in the background, so I don't want to lose that much. Oh, that's a bit white. Definitely be wiping some of this back. Okay. So I want us to keep some of the cream up the top and down the bottom. The creamy colour of the book. Where's my baby wipe? So I just want to take a little bit, not that much off, a little bit off, just to lighten that so it pushes it back into the background. Just a little bit. Okay. Give that a bit of a dry. It doesn't take long to dry because it's only a very thin layer. Now we're going to play with some stencils. What stencils do I want to play with? I think I want to, not that one. It's off. Or maybe that one later. I want to play with this one, I think, in the background, because it will work in with the foliage that I put on the top. Nearly dry. Yeah, I'm one of those that puts my hand in wet paint to see if it's dry. It's the only way to tell, isn't it? Okay, what I'm thinking is maybe I want to do sort of that pattern coming out from my block of things and then flip the stencil that way and have some of these coming down. Let's do that. But I want to be quite subtle, so I'm going to find my blending brush, and which is the best thing to have when you're stenciling with ink. And I'm just trying to choose a colour. Watering can, or what's that? Shadow grey. I think shadow grey would be too light. I don't want to go black. Let's go this one. So I want to just drop my ink pad on the thing. I want to keep my background quite neutral until I add in the top layer and then see what colours I'm getting, I think. I don't know. So I want to overlap. Oops. I don't want to move my stencil. Oh, that's a bit dark. Not so heavy-handed. I want to overlap my stenciling onto the paper and the washi tape. Sorry if you can hear sirens in the background. We live quite close to an ambulance and fire station. Actually, fire station's right at the end of my street, which is handy. So we often get sirens going. Probably a bit more heavy-handed than I was wanting, but we'll go with it. I'm a bit heavy-handed when it comes to stenciling. Oh, that's a bit better. So this one's more of a mask, so you're covering up and then sort of adding between sort of the inside of the shape, and then I'm coming out off the top of the stencil just to give the shape. So as you can see, I'm moving my stencil, so I'm holding it quite close to where I am inking, and that'll stop that from happening. So these stencil brushes are awesome. I have quite a few of them. And you don't really have to wash them in between, which is really good, because you're putting such minimum amount of ink on your brush. You just got to learn not to be so heavy-handed with your brush. But I'm heavy-handed with most things anyway. Oh, I'm liking this. I don't know whether we will use the napkins after a while. I know, we'll see where this page goes. Might take a totally different direction than what I've had in my head, which is sometimes the way it goes. Now I want to flip the stencil and sort of or do I want the bottom of the leaves? No, I'm going to do it this way. See, I'm being very indecisive today. I think I want that big, let's position that big leaf where we want. We might start here and then move across. Don't mind me talking to myself. I talk to my art supplies all the time. Does anyone else do that? Talk to themselves when they're arting. I sort of want to balance where these the biggest leaves are. I can't wait to have a go at my gel plate with all these new stencils too. We were doing some gel printing at the last May retreat, so I bought all my new stencils, and oh, the ladies were making some awesome prints. Oops. Come on, stencil, behave and sit where you're supposed to. Ooh, I'm liking that. Okay, now I want to do like half of one here. And now where do I want that big one? I want to bring him quite up. So just not wanting, when I'm placing my stencil, I'm sort of not wanting too large big leaves, sort of like mirror imaged. Oops. My fingers keep getting in the way. So I want sort of half a leaf. A suggestion of half a leaf over there. So it looks like it's continuing. Oh, I'm liking that. I think there's a bit of a gap in here, so I might just add a little bit. I am liking that. Yes, Elizabeth, best advice comes talking to yourself. It's better than asking my darling daughter Alexis for advice. She's very blunt when she gives advice. Sometimes she has good ideas though, that I'd never thought of. I'm trying to keep my page straight, but my camera must have moved. So I'm trying to straighten my book up in the camera. Okay, now what? No idea. The idea was to have this window sort of looking like it's sort of in a jungle. Does that sort of make sense? That's the idea I was going for anyway. Island palette. Oh, it looks awesome. Thanks, Elizabeth. I'm trying lately not to procrastinate too much and trying to just stick and plonk and go with my first thought, because I can sit here and procrastinate for like 3 or 4 hours about where to stick something, and trying to be better at making decisions. I'll put it that way, and I'm just going to grab a piece of black paper because I think I want black paper behind that. So that's one thing I didn't think of. So this is the black paper that I send out in all your packaging. So I keep all that, and I will back a lot of my shapes with that. I'll cut it up and use it, so don't ever throw that out. I think I do want it stuck on the black and then cut it out. Let's do that. Make a decision. Going to use this fantastic glue. Now I'm just going to check which is the dirtier side. So all our white cardstock things are laser cut. So they're obviously burnt with a laser, and you probably hear me repeat this many times. So one side here has a few more burn marks on it than the other, but you can certainly use the shapes reversible. You just may need to coat it with gesso or white paint to take the burn marks off. Sometimes more intricate shapes get more burn marks because the laser does more passes to cut the shape. Sometimes there's a little bit of brown on the top of the shape. Just sometimes my machine has hissy fits. But most of the time I colour baby wipe. Oh, baby wipe without paint on it would be helpful. Okay, we're just going to go with that. We're going to make that work, because try not to pick up a baby wipe that's got paint on it. I've got a stack of dry baby wipes. I deliberately let some dry out so I can use them dry. That's right, we're going to fix that up somehow. Stick something on top of it. Let's cut that out. Yes, I like this stencil. I haven't played with this stencil before. Oh God, can't see where I'm cutting. So I like how it turns out. Sometimes I make stencils on the machine, cut them out and go to test them, and it's like, oh, that doesn't look any good. I must have been having a good day when I was designing these stencils. So we're going to have a new release with my new website. I'm going to get organised. Ha, what's that word in my life? And have a new release every 3 months. So we had a release in July, so that means our next one will be October. I'm going to cheat a little and make them coincide with Hillbilly Scrapping's in-person retreats. So if you attend any of those, I'll make all new stuff for her events. And then, wow, I've got new stuff for my website too. And her retreats have a deadline. They're in February, May and September. So if I have a deadline to work to, I sort of am a little bit better at making things. And if I set myself a goal, I'll tend to work towards it. But if I say, I'll do a new release when I get new stuff, it sort of never gets done in my house. Okay, I am liking that. Now, colour. What are we going to do? I'm wanting to... or maybe we'll put the birds down the bottom. Ooh, that might work better. Instead of having them floating up in the sky. We could drag this down a bit. Okay, let's... This napkin's really cool because it comes in 4... Most of the napkins you either get 4 of each image, or you get, like this one... Oh no, this is 4 of each image. You might get like an overall image. So you get loads of things to play with. So I'm just going to cut this napkin into quarters. So I've got a quarter to play with. So having 4 images to play with, and you get, we sell all our napkins, or Alexa sells her napkins in pack of 2. So I call it the stuff up factor. So you've got lots of images to play with, because I tend to like to have spares. Oh, I can't see, which is nothing unusual if I can't see. Okay, so I've got 3 more Kingfishers. They'd make gorgeous cards too. Okay, now the thing with napkins, wherever it is white will go translucent when we stick it down. So if I stick this directly down over here, all of this background is going to show through. So I'm going to do it cheats way in a minute. I'm just deciding what I want. Now usually I will take the backing, I've still got the backing on the napkin. Usually I'll take that off, but what I'm going to do is leave it on, and I'm actually going to cut around this bird down to here. I'm going to cut this portion off. And I'll show you why I'm cutting. I'll tell you why I'm cutting in a minute. I'm going to cut quite close to the birds. The little bit of white's going to disappear, and we're going to make it blend in anyway. The reason I'm cutting is I want to cut the back white layer the same shape as my top white layer. A couple of you might know what I'm going to do. So when you stick a napkin down, it's obviously translucent and it will blend into your background. But what I'm going to do is that white layer that I usually take off and discard is going to be the same shape as my birds. If I don't decapitate a bird in a minute. So I'm going to stick that down first, and then that will give my birds a bit more of a solid white. Well, in theory, solid white, and it won't melt into the background as much. So napkins are great for foreground or like background, like I did this morning, or they're great for foreground images. Trying to go around this tiny bit of grass. Sorry if I'm out of frame. I have, for anyone that is new to me or my business, I do have low vision, so sometimes my big head will come into frame, or I will go out of frame when I'm trying to cut something because I can't see otherwise. This is a bit fiddly, but it sounded like a good idea in my head when I thought of it. A lot of things sound good in my head until I actually go to do them. So I'll keep that little bit of napkin. I'll just chop that bit off and that bit off. Keep that bit of leaf. I've got a bucket of all parts of napkins that I like to use in the background of things. Okay, so I'm going to have to position that because I don't want it to cut off my bird's head. Okay, so now we're going to peel off those lovely layers off the back. So napkins usually have 2 or 3 layers. Let's see if I can find them. Sometimes they're easy to find, sometimes they're a pain in the butt. Usually you can just flick at a corner and the layers will come, there we go, or you drop the whole lot. The layers will come apart. So napkins have 2 or 3 layers. So what I do is I usually take one white layer off. I'm actually keeping that one. And I'll grab a sheet of book text, place my napkin over the top, and you should be able to just see the book text through. I think this one's got another layer. The more you work with napkins, the more you'll sort of know how translucent a napkin should be, and if there's another, yeah, I can see another layer on there. Hang on. To look over my glasses. So now we peel a second layer off. Now I'm going to keep the second layer because I might need it in a minute. So you should be able to almost read book text through a napkin, and then you know it's got enough layers off it. As I said, some have 2, some have 3. It just depends on what brand they are. Now I've got this, which is identical to the top layer. So I'm going to glue this layer down, and I may have to glue the second layer down, so I've actually got 3 of these. And the reason I didn't leave it all together to glue it down was because it won't glue down properly. You're probably thinking, why'd you separate them, just glue them all down at once? Does not work with napkins. You've got to glue each individual layer, because it just, the matte medium doesn't penetrate through the whole 3 layers properly, and then you have issues with them coming off. So now, and this is the reason I like to use archival ink in my backgrounds, is if I use something like a, excuse me, Tim Holtz Distress ink or an oxide or a water reactive ink, I would then be moving this ink. That's too much. Let's put some down there. So I'm going to basically put matte gel medium where I want my thing to go, my napkin to go. And I'm going to line this up with the corner, hopefully. Watch your napkins get very fragile when they get wet. So dropping it like I did and picking it up again is probably not a good idea. Then I sort of start in the middle and gently, and you're going to get wrinkles in it. Napkins are always going to wrinkle. Oh, I need some more glue down here. So see how you can still see that background through the napkin? So I would have saw that through my birds if I'm not using the white layers. It's a bit fiddly, but some days I do fiddly stuff. So I am going to use the second, if I can see to line the thing up. Oh, I've got visitors next door. I can see a car parked outside my window. Okay, so now I'm going to give that a little bit of a dry and hopefully not have my napkin fly everywhere. The only way to get non-wrinkles in your napkin is actually if you use the glad wrap technique, which is gluing it to some paper using glad wrap. And I've done that a few times on my channel last year. And that gives you more of a opaque thing to work with. Okay, we're going to line this up again. So this is the second layer of, oh, reach for the wrong glue. Second layer of white napkin, then I'll stick the coloured one on top, and hopefully the colours will be a bit more true to what colours they are. And if you haven't lined it up exactly right, I don't think I have, doesn't matter. Alexis has so many different types of napkins. We have ones like this that have birds, we have animals, we have dogs, we have flowers, lots of Christmassy ones, lots of backgroundy ones like I was using this morning with the rectangles and diamonds. Now I'm going to make sure that's nice and wet on top, and I'm going to drop my coloured napkin on top. To make sure I didn't want that too much there. Oh, I meant to put that over there. Got to make it a mess. What's that paper? That can come out of there. That can go there to protect the next page so I don't glue my pages together. Now I'm going to drop this on here, and hopefully the colours of the birds will be a bit more brighter. So you could use this same technique for rice papers or collage papers as well. If you want them to be brighter, you could use white napkin under them to brighten a particular area. I know Jen from Hillbilly Scrapping has a huge range of collage and rice papers that are absolutely beautiful, and I look at them and go, oh wow, and sometimes go, oh wow, I don't really know what to do with that because it's a complete picture. But you can use this same technique and same glue with any of the translucent papers. Napkins are probably the thinnest and the hardest to work with, so if you can master napkins, you can master rice paper and collage paper. See how those colours of those birds are a lot more vibrant because they've got the white underneath them, but I can still see a bit of that background. Bit fiddly. What else have we got to do on a Saturday afternoon? And sit here and stick napkin layers together. If I didn't do the two layers, it would have been a lot more translucent, and that background would have popped through a lot more. Just being very careful in trying to get some of the wrinkles out, and just wipe off my silicone brush, wipe up the gel medium. Oh, I think that's the baby wipe. It's got paint in it, so now I'm wiping paint on my table. Get rid of that. So now we're going to dry that off. I think that's going to look really cute when it dries up. Some days I'll sit here and do the fiddliest little things because, yeah, they sound like a good idea at the time. I love using napkins in my artwork. They just make your page, and there's just some gorgeous designs, and they're seriously too good for your fingers. Don't use pretty napkins on your fingers. Use them in your artwork. Oops. Oh, that's got paper on the back. I'm not going to be able to write from the back. They look gorgeous. So this is going to go about here. Now watch she goes. I need something to cover up here. I might use some of this foliage. But this time I think I'm going to not do the 2 layers of napkin. I'm just going to stick maybe some of it down. Let me cut just one panel of this off and then I can see what we've got. Alexis loves going shopping for napkins. Every time we go out to certain shops in Bendigo, Mum, I don't think we have that napkin. Sorry, I'm catching up on comments. Never seen someone use the 2 layers of napkin. Love learning new techniques. That's probably because no one else is crazy enough to do it. Sorry. But yeah, it is a good technique if you want certain white bits, it to be more white. Oh, Mel, you're a bird person and love the stencil. Wonderful. I have also, if you didn't want to do the 2 layers of white napkin, you could sort of gently pencil around where your napkin could be, and you could put white gesso behind it. But I sometimes I like how it's peeping through, but the birds seem to be brighter. It's a bit time consuming, but it's fairly cool. Now I think 2 layers, 2 layers, white layers come off at once. That was really good. I do some crazy things though. They sound like a good idea in my brain, and then when I go to actually do them, sometimes they're as fiddly as anything. I'm wanting to put some of this, I think, sort of across the middle. I think sort of across the middle. Maybe. I need a small paintbrush. So this time I'm actually going to wet, what can I wet it on? Not my book. Piece of paper. So this time I'm actually going to wet the napkin with a bit of water and tear it, just so it has a bit more of a fuzzy edge. Seriously, words this weekend. I must sound like an idiot when I can't talk. So this is another way you can actually separate your napkins, but I tend to only do this when it's the one top layer, because when you add water it gets quite fragile. So if you're cutting the layers with the white, do it with a pair of scissors, it's a bit easier. You'll be all cutting 3 layers of napkins now and sticking them down and cursing Melinda that showed you that technique. Yeah, I've not seen anyone stick down the 3 layers of napkin either. Maybe it's a Melinda original. So I'm sort of tracing the foliage, but not really. It's more of a collagey foliage, so I'm just sort of cutting it into pieces. As you can see, when you add the water, it gets really, really, really fragile. Okay, let's put that over here. So the idea is to maybe and what you'll find is the fuzzy edges or the torn edges will disappear into your page a bit more. So I'm actually thinking I want to, on these 2 bits of the triangle that are straight, I'll probably pick the tiniest paintbrush. I just want to wet the side and just pick at it a bit, not too much, so just so it's not so straight, but be very gentle, because you can pick at it too much, and I just want to do it down this line here. Again, I do the fiddliest things, but tiny bit of water. My neighbours are next door, so hopefully you can't hear them chatting outside. They must be home. See how that edge is now more fuzzy than a straight edge? Oh, little balls of napkin. So basically I just sit with my fingers and pick a little bit off. I'm going to stick that one in there. We're going to fuzzy up the edge of this one. So non-straight edges of the napkins tend to work in when you glue them a bit better. Oh my god, I will need some more of this glue. I'm going to go through loads of this matte gel medium. So Liquitex is one brand. Trying to use this one up because it's a bit older, but there also is a brand called Montmark, which is really good. Montmark's like a student grade. Liquitex is more like your artist quality grade. They both do the same job. It's like going to Coles and Safeway and buying home brand sauce. It's both hand brand tomato sauce, just one's made by one company and one's made by another company. You just want to make sure you get a matte one. You don't want a gloss one. There is a gloss one available, which is not what you want. Okay, so this is sort of going to go here. Where's my book? Sort of going to go over here. So I want a bit up here. What bit are we going to put up there? I want a little bit in here just to come out from the edge of the window. So again, just putting it under and on top. I like that. I think I'm going to want to put some more colour in the background, but let's stick a couple bits of more napkin down. I think we want a little bit coming out from under there. So I'm trying to sort of, when I'm not having it just hanging in the middle air, it's coming out from under the window, or it's sort of joining up to each other. I don't like things like, what's it called, floating heads or floating on my art journal page. I like things to be sort of connected and joined, and like that looks like it's coming out from under the window. I don't know why plants would grow under windows, but they are on this page. It's a little bit wet, so I'm just fuzzing up the edges to use this bit. I've got stickiest fingers. And I sort of want bits going up that way and down that way, and sort of all different directions, but with a purpose. Oh, need some more glue. Stay. Napkins are quite fiddly, but I like using them, they're fun. Whoops. And just be very careful when you're going over the top, because they can get quite fragile and you can tear them. So I'm just tearing down this straight line. I should have wet it, but I'm being impatient. Oh, got sticky fingers. Okay, now where do I want this other bit? I sort of want this other bit, maybe fill in there. Oh, meant to be. Look, it was just meant to fit there. Yep, it's going to stay there now because it's half wet. Oh God, I've got a mess everywhere. I've got wet plastic bags. I've got glue everywhere. Let's dry that off and then I'll decide what I'm doing next. Let's Clean up that matte gel. Love working on my glass mats. So easy to clean up. Nothing sticks to it. It's so cool. They're fantastic to use even as a paint palette. I probably didn't need one this big. I probably just needed one off to the side to put all my paint on. But of course I got the big one. Okay, let's dry that off a bit. While I'm drying, I'm just thinking of, I want to add a bit more colour into that strip. I'm just thinking what I've got near me that will work. Because I've got paints, but I want them to be quite translucent, so I might grab down my sprays. Just noticed I've got a bit of a gap here and that's standing out, so let's just grab our blending brush. And what ink do we use? This one. And I just want to do that little bit there. Oh, his head's not stuck down. Forgot the bird's head. There we go. Just want to put a little bit of this leaf, so I just want to line this up and just be ever so gentle and put a little bit in there. That looks a bit better. It had a gap. It just looked funny. Probably to no one else, but it looks funny to me. Okay. Now I want to put a bit more colour through the middle, but I think I'm going to have to grab down my spray box of sprays, and I'll use them like inks because I only grabbed paints and the paints are going to be too opaque. Give us 1 second. I should use my sprays more often. Let me find. So these are a mixture of Delusions and there's one called Mushy Pears. Let's pull out our greeny yellows and see what we've got. Stress Stain. So I've also got gloss sprays in here which I don't want to use because they're opaque. I want to pull out my translucent sprays. I thought I had more greens. Ah, I know where they are. Two seconds. Someone's been naughty and not put their stuff away from the last retreat. They're still in my bag of stuff. Didn't make it back into my box. What am I doing? I want some clean water. Sorry, totally changed my mind. I got all the paints out to do this page, but I've totally changed my mind and now we're going to go with inks. Sorry for all the umming I'm going to get, but things aren't that far away. Now, I want to add a bit more vibrancy into the background. That's still a bit wet over there. I'm going to dry it from the back as well. going to move my book over a tad. So what have I got? I've got twisted citron, I've got mushy peas, dirty martini. I think dirty martini's a colour. I'm sort of wanting to match sort of these colours, but not sort of match. And I might put a bit of yellow into it. I think citron's going to be too bright. Okay, so I'm going to use these like a watercolour, so I'm going to spray onto my messy mat. I must admit, I very rarely use sprays as sprays. I tend to use them as a watercolour ink, like I'm doing at the moment, or I'll put them in a pen, in like a water brush pen, and use them as like to colour images and stuff. I find sprays are really out of control, and I'm a bit of a control freak if you don't know, and I like to control things. So I just want to add a bit more brightness into here, and this is going to fill in sort of the white areas but not obliterate what we've put on, which is good. So I've watered this down with a bit of water. I can always go and add. Now these are water reactive sprays, so you've got to be careful what you put on top of them. If this was a water reactive ink that I did with the leaves, we would be in a whole lot of trouble because all of that would be moving. And the reason I sort of have a love-hate relationship with the sprays is they are water reactive and they stain everything. So it's usually the top layer that I put on more than anything. So I'm just sort of dotting in a bit of colour. I might bring a bit of yellow in a minute. I don't want to completely obliterate and colour everything. Oh, that actually looks nice around the birds. Tones the background down a bit. So you can paint up and over the napkins. Once the napkins are sealed and dry, you can add more colour over the top of them. They're really good. Oh, I do like colour around the birds. Makes them stand out a bit more. And being a translucent ink colour, it takes it really nicely. Really not painting, I'm just like splodging. I might regret the colour in a minute. That's alright. No, I'm liking the colour. Now what? Now I clean up that mess before I put my arm or something in it. I'll give that a bit of a dry and think what else we need. Might see if I add a bit of, what's this? Pure Sunshine. Just to add a bit more yellow, sort of this colour up this side. Ooh, that is very yellow. Just to balance what we've got on the bird. And I sort of want to bring some blue over here, sort of. Haven't worked out how yet. What you could actually do with all the napkins is continue the birds right across the page. But that would take me a while and I wouldn't make you sit here and watch that. That's something crazy I do all by myself. Whoops. Let's wipe the yellow off the window. Put a bit of yellow on our birds to make him a bit brighter. Ooh, I like that. So you can even change the colours of napkins. If you have a particular napkin that you like the shape of, you can stick it down and then paint over the top of it. There's no reason why you can't do that. What I'm thinking with this is I have some, and I don't know where it is, and it will take ages to dry, so I may do it overnight and then post a photo tomorrow. In the windowy bits, I've got some, it's like dimensional magical glossy accents. It goes on and sort of shiny like a bubble, like a window. I reckon that would look really cool. Except if I did that, I'd just have to watch where the crease in my book is because it will crack it. Maybe that wasn't a good idea. Maybe no, maybe it won't glossy access it. Maybe I'll do some similar thing but not so bubbly. Let me clean up that spray. Now, ideally I'd like to bring some of this blue colour over this side just to tie it in with the page, but I don't know how. I don't know what yet. Let me have a think. Are any of my... Oh, let me put my lid back on my glue. My lovely pin back on my glue so it doesn't dry out. That glue's fantastic with the metal tip, but for someone with low vision, trying to put a pin in a hole that's very small is fun. Now, I'm wondering if any of my Kingfishers are facing the other direction. No, they're not. They're facing... Well, maybe if I just did one little birdie propped up there, we'll do that. So on some napkins, you'll get like the opposite image, which is really cool because then you can play around with... Let me see if I can find... Where did I put this stack of napkins? Wonder if any of these do it. Usually when I'm looking for an example for a napkin, I cannot find it. Nope. So basically we show you that on the computer which ones go which way. Oh, maybe it's these ones. No, they're different napkins. Never find a good example, can I? Is it bears? No, they're different bears. Oh, I can't wait to play with bears. Do the owls do it? Oh, the owls do it. Hang on. So sometimes when you get napkins on the one napkin, you'll actually get, like this owl is facing the right side, and then if you turn it over, you've got some owls facing the left side. So on the one napkin, you get sort of the reverse image, which is cool to play too. Cannot wait to play with this napkin. Might have to play with him very soon. He's flown all the way from Germany, so he deserves a page. Now, back to my birds. So, I'm going to cut out just this bird here, and I think I'm going to perch him up here, and I think that's going to balance the blue. So, that's not the napkin I want. Where's the single one? Here's the single one. So this is why it's handy to get, and I just want him on the branch, because I'm going to perch him up on here as if that's a branch. So I want to cut the foliage off at the bottom. So I just want the bird. Give him a little bit of a branch. I'm just going to roughly cut him out, and then I'm going to go back and trim him up. Whoops. So I just want him perched up here, and I don't think I'm going to have to do the 3-layer thing because he's mostly going to go on that cream cardstock. And if he fades in a little, I don't mind. And then I think we need to find a quote, and then we might be done. Noticed a bit of napkin sticking up. Just going to have to be careful because I have got the Delusion ink spray up here, it will move when I put the matte medium on. So I just got to be ever so careful with my bird. So I'm going to have him stuck here. Maybe that's their birdhouse. Maybe that's where they go to to live. Oh, you're probably sick of me by the time I'm finished today. I can get quite fiddly on my art journal pages, and I just get lost in it, and it doesn't bother me that I can spend 2 or 3 hours fiddling around on a page. I admire Neve Bailey that just sits there and within 30 minutes she's done a magnificent page. Me, I don't think I've ever done a 30-minute art journal page. I just like to sit and fiddle and have all sorts of little things. Now I've got to get the white 2 layers off. Sometimes it's easy to get the white layers off when you cut, because you cut into the napkin. I just got to get my big big fingers. So they've got 2 white birdies. I won't keep that. Trying not to keep little things lately. Okay. Now. Okay. I've lost my silicone tool. I put it up there. Okay. Oh, I keep reaching for the wrong glue. So thank you for spending your, what are we, Saturday afternoon? Oh, it was Thursday the other day, and someone goes, what day of the week it is? I said, I don't know. Oh, some days I wonder about myself. Thank you for spending some of your Saturday afternoon with me. Remember, these are all available on replay, so if you want to watch it again and maybe be inspired by the page or copy the page, I don't mind. If you do use any of my products or even be inspired by it, if you're putting it up on social media, tag Scrapbooking which is the business name, and I often look for that tag and see what you guys are up to. Or if you don't want to share it on social media and you just want to share it with me, you can just email me a picture or message me in a picture, and I can have a sticky bake at what you've been up to. I like to see how people use my chipboard shapes and stencils, and I get such a kick on social media when I go looking and go, oh, that's my stencil, that's my bit of chipboard, that's my whatever. But if you're anything like me, you're a bit of a shopaholic and you shop lots and you don't do lots. Trying to rectify that this year, trying to play more. Shop less? No, that's not fun. Maybe he's the bird that's on watch and he's watching all the others. He's the antisocial bird. I think I'm just wondering if that white is sticking out like a sore thumb. I don't like it being white now because this is cream and there's no other white on the page. So this is where I may need a second window because I may stuff up what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to tone it down with blue, grey. Blue and grey. Let's go with both of them. That one and that one. Okay, so let's get my book out of the way for a minute. Let's put it over there where my computer should be, and let's, ideally, if you are smart, you would have coloured this before you stuck it on the black background. But I often do things back to front and the hard way because I am a bit like that. But I'm just going to knock the white off this, and you shouldn't, let's do blue first, you shouldn't see the ink on the black as much. Because I just don't like the white because I've got nothing else white on my page. I'm just going to bring my page back just after doing a little bit and seeing what it looks like. This is what you call the procrastination stage. Oh, I do like it a lot better. It's not standing out. When I look at it with white, it's the first thing my eyes look at, and it's just, it's standing out like a sore thumb, as they say, and I don't like it. I do like working in these cream books. It's just hard when you go to stick a white element on it. What was I doing? I started with the blue, didn't I? So just giving it a coat of ink. You go as dark as you want. And you shouldn't be able to see it on the black. I still might put something in the windows. I might put actually a bit of like kindy glitz, bit of glittery, maybe not, I don't know. I'll have to decide whether I want to put something in the windows. You can't really see the ink on the black, so it's not so bad doing it back to front. So again, you could use any sort of ink with this. I'm using archival because it's a colour I want, but I could have grabbed my oxides or distress inks or any sort of ink to do this. But if you do have ink pads and stencils, invest in a blending brush, and you'll use your ink pads a whole lot more and your stencils a whole lot more, and you get just a softer look. I find I get less. I have used the Tim Holtz blending, you know, the stick with the foam. I've got plenty of those from when I used to demonstrate down at Paperific. But I tend to find I get more big blobs with that than I do with this for some reason. I still use those for painting and doing a few different things, but I do prefer this for ink blending because I tend to personally get a better blend than I do with those Tim Holtz blending tools. Actually, what I might do is I was just going to rub this over and make it a bit sort of distressed. Let's see what it looks like before I go and wreck it. See, sometimes I have good ideas in my head and they just don't translate well to paper. It's not the same blue as the Kingfishers, but it's definitely better than the white. I think I want to put a bit of grey on it. Oh, what has flashed up on my computer screen? No, add an account. What? I don't want to add an account. Close. No idea what's flashed up on my computer screen. Oh, Tabitha, don't ever be too polite, because I take on suggestions all the time. Feel free when you're watching me in a live, if you see something that looks horribly wrong, point it out. I don't get offended. That's what I say to people when I teach classes in real life. It's, if I make a suggestion on your page and you don't like it, that's fine. I don't get offended. So no, don't be polite, Tabitha. When are you polite? Or are you just being polite because it's in a live? That's sometimes why it's good to do a live, because then I can ask you questions and say, how am I going to do this? Or how am I going to fix it because I stuffed it up? There's a little bit down here that I need to do blue. What colour was I using this one? Seriously, can I stop losing stuff today? That would be handy. It's right in front of me and I can't see it. And I'm going to sort of just, I wonder if this is even going to work. Oh, just sort of distress it. Probably not the best thing to do with your ink pads, but yeah, I do it all the time. And I want to go around the edge. And probably not the best thing to do with your ink pads, but these little ink pads are fantastic too. You can get lots of colours. Oh, I think I like that distress now. Now I probably won't have to put glossy things in the window, and you're not going to notice the bit of paint that I smudged because I'm just ignoring that that's there. If I could be bothered, I'd go get another shape and stick it on black, but yeah. Oh, hello, Miss Assistant. That's Tabitha's daughter. Tabitha has a YouTube channel too and does lots of beautiful card making. And I can't remember what YouTube channel's called, Tabitha, because it just comes up. It's art something. maybe you'll be nice and put a link in and you can go and watch all Tabitha's beautiful card making things. I think I'm going to stick that down. I am just wondering whether I need to edge the page with a bit of ink. I didn't this morning, but I'm wondering if it needs just... You know what? And I don't mind that I've got smudges in the windows, because, hey, it could look like cobwebs. Someone hasn't cleaned their windows for a while. I thought Miss Assistant would be at work. She's not working today. Okay, let's glue that down. Stop procrastinating. More gluing. Because it's a bigger shape, I'm just going to reach for this glue. I find this glue with the fine tip is great for small stuff, but to do big stuff, I tend to find the glue dries a bit quicker. So I'm just going to use the great old reject shop glue that I'm trying to use up. It's a great glue until you get down to a little bit in the jar, and then it's a pain in the butt to get out. I'm all about using up bits lately. I've got bits of jars of things and glues and things everywhere. It's using that last little bit up. Now, where was this to go? This was to go here. Oh, she's working tomorrow. Oh, yeah, Tabitha hasn't done videos lately, but she's got a bunch of videos on YouTube with lots of card making stuff. She's a beautiful card maker. We'll have to convert her into an art journal, won't we, one day? Ugh. So when I'm gluing across the spine, I technically don't like to glue bulky stuff in my spine. Otherwise my book looks like an alligator at the end of the day. So when I do glue stuff in the spine, I like to fold it over, and so it's sort of creased nicely and glued in the spot, in the right spot. Now, geez, an hour and 17 minutes. God, I can waffle today. Sorry guys, you probably all want to go and start thinking about dinner. Okay, I do like that in blue now. I'm glad I did that. Thanks, Tabitha. Just wondering if I want to dust a little bit of ink around the edge just to frame it, or whether I leave it. I think I want to frame it. I want to do it in the watering... No, it wasn't watering can I used. It's cornflower blue. So I just want to do... Oh, I don't want to do that. Wet baby wipe. Nope, now we've got yellow up there. Oh God. This is not working like I wanted it to work. Now I've got to... Don't you love it when you get to the last bit and you do something and you go to stuff it up? Yeah, I'm the same, Tabitha. I don't know where the days go lately. Ugh. Just everything's dragging me away from what I want to do. But we get there eventually. That's the great thing about our art supplies, is they'll wait. Look at that. They wait until we're ready to come back to them. Not happy with the blob up the top, but we might try to fix that. I can usually do this a lot better, but let's get the water out of here before that goes swish, because that's about what mood I'm in at the moment. Things will go swish off the table. Oh, it's a bit better doing it that way. I sort of like borders or edges on my pages, because it's sort of, even this is not much, but you can see it, and it's just gives your page an edge, until I stuff it up and do a big blob where I shouldn't, but oh well. I'll just put some more big blobs somewhere, and then it will all match and look like I've done on purpose. Yes, blending foams are good for some things. I just find I put more... Maybe I'm too heavy-handed with them. I want to try the dome ones, actually. I haven't had any of those, so maybe the dome ones. Because I find I just get... Ooh, that looks a bit better. I just get marks where I don't want marks. And I can't blend inks anyway properly because my eyesight is a little cruddy, and that's what I blame anyway. Okay. I think that blue has just made the page now. I've lost the top of my ink. Oh, seriously. Get that out of the way. I've got to clean up before tomorrow. I've got that much on my desk. It's not funny. Now, the only other thing I wanted to do was grab my Stabilo oil pencil and put a bit of shadow under that die cut, which is the same thing if you're watching this morning. So a Stabilo oil pencil is a water reactive... That needs a bit more blue under it. It's a water reactive pencil. Water reactive pencil. Oh, God. Some days. So it's water reactive, so you scribble on it like a normal pencil, and then you water activate it. I can't talk today. And it sort of adds a bit of a shadow. So the more pencil you put down, the more water you put down, the more sort of shadow you'll get. So just be a bit careful. You can always go back and add a bit more. But what it does is it sort of helps your piece, whether it be a magazine image, whether it be a white embellishment, it helps it blend into the page. We've got dirty white water, but it's going to work. And it will sort of give it a bit of a shadow. And then it sort of looks like it belongs. Again, it's the last thing you do because it's water reactive. It's going to stay water reactive. Excuse me. It's going to stay water reactive, and you don't want to do it in your first layers because then anytime you put wet medium on top of it, it'll react. So as you can see, it goes quite dark. It's quite a vibrant pencil. It is fantastic. I use my black one most, but they do have a white one which does work on darker surfaces, and they have a few coloured ones available too. Or they were when I bought mine a while ago. I'm wondering if I need to do anything around my birds to make them stand out a bit. I'm just thinking the bird's getting a bit lost. So I can always go back and add more. No, I think I'll leave it because I'll probably stuff it up. I'm just thinking these birds, they're fading in a bit, but I think if I go and put something on them, yeah, let's just leave it. Oh, you've got some of the dome ones, Tabitha. Yeah, I've been eyeing them off, but I haven't when I didn't like using the normal ones, I'm thinking, can I justify buying the dome ones just to try them out? You only have 5 foams so far. I'm naughty. I tend to mix and match mine. I don't tend to have one per colour. I think I'm done. I like that these are a bit more subtle. It's growing on me. I think I like it. I do. Let's call it quits because I could sit here and fiddle all night and then probably stuff it up. So thank you very much for watching my second live for our celebration of our new website for July 2022. And I will be back on tomorrow, which is Sunday, at 11 AM and at 3 PM. So tomorrow I'm attempting a set of cards. I'll do a set of cards and a scrapbook page. My daughter and I went to an event at our local park with all night lighty things. So I'm with it was called Glow, so they had all lights and things. So I printed some photos the other day, so I'm going to do a scrapbook page. Tabitha, that's funny. I just watched that video the other day because I have been eyeing off those stubby crayons, but I don't think I want them after watching her video. Yeah, it was hilarious when she was cutting into the pencil. So I think I've decided I don't need that product after watching hers. She is a fantastic person to go and see if she's done a review on it. Oh, that one came together well. It did. It's different to what I had imagined in my head, but that's okay. Sometimes what I imagine in my head is not what sort of comes out on paper, but I'm happy with it. I will put some photos in the Facebook group. No, where are we? We're on my page. On my Facebook page, I keep thinking I'm in a group and I'm not, because I usually teach in groups. I'll put What am I going to do? I'm going to put photos in the Facebook page and I'll link the products we used. And I'm going to go before I say something I shouldn't. Yeah, I've been eyeing off Neocolor 2s for a while, Tabitha. I just haven't found a great deal yet to jump on. And I may have very similar things like gelatos. Well, not really similar, but a lot of that kind of stuff to maybe use up or maybe rehome before I buy another similar product. Trying to be good. But I'm a bit of a sucker for a sale, so if I see Neocolor 2s at a really, really good price, I might jump on them. Because, yeah, they've been on my wish list for quite a while. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching, and I will see you tomorrow. And don't forget to check out the Facebook page, Scrapbooking and Craft. There might be a sneaky giveaway somewhere in there for today. There might be one for tomorrow, too. Thank you very much. Bye for now. Thanks, Lynn. Thanks, Meryl. Oh, you got a stellar deal. Yeah, I'm waiting on a stellar deal, Tabitha. One day I'll find one when I least expect it and probably don't have the money. Bye, everyone.